Hello there, this is Oral Ofori, host and producer of your favorite human interest chat show, #The African Dream. Today we're in Alexandria, Virginia, and we have for our very special guest, lawyer Solace Awumee. How are you doing today, Solace?
I am great.
Great. Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
so
us.
much for this opportunity.
It's our pleasure. But yeah, so tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Solace Awumee. I am an attorney here in the U.S., and my specialty is in data privacy. In the past years, data privacy has become very important because companies have realized that your data is very valuable. And just as an example, when you buy something or, you go to the grocery store or you even get services or products online, at the minimum, you give away your first name, last name, email address, maybe address so they can mail that product to you. These are all data that is very valuable. In the past years, companies have realized that there is value to that data. Some of them even sell that information, but you wouldn't know that. So now the law has cracked down on that information and wants to regulate how that data is used for your protection. And so that's kind of where I come in as a data privacy attorney to make sure that companies are using your data correctly and safely, and that you're also informed.
So that was a good summary. It encapsulates what the whole data privacy thing is about. What are some quick, basic tips or advice that you will give to people to protect their data privacy? I assuming they don't know jack squat about the whole data privacy thing.
So I always use this example. When you are asking for a service or a product and you get asked more information than necessary to actually provide you with that service or product, your spidey senses should be going all the way up. So for instance, I heard this story where a club producer was offering free tickets to females. And with those free tickets, he was asking for first name, last name, address, email address, phone number, and those are things that should make your spidey senses go up, right? Because for a club promotion, free entry, you don't need my address because you're not sending me anything. Maybe the email address makes sense because you have to give me whatever coupon or code that I need so I can be able to come in. But phone number really is not necessary. So those are key things that you should be looking out for to know that this might be not safe. Another thing is also if you're not really informed about the data privacy space. Right now, when you go on any type of website, you see these banners that pop up, cookies, accept cookies, and everybody just clicks accept because it's a nuisance and you just want to click it so it can get away from the page.
But that's where they get you.
Exactly. And what those cookies mean is that every activity that you perform on that website is being tracked so that they can send you personalized ads.
So here's the thing, let me not cut you. Some of these sites are very, very adamant that without accepting the cookies, you cannot navigate the site. What do you do then? Can you ignore or just leave the site all over? So
the choice is yours because the law has not caught up to that yet. Right now, the law just says that all websites must have that banner. But it is yet to say that companies should always give the option. So you realize that there are, to your point, some companies that give you the option to edit and set your settings for those cookies, where you can actually click settings and accept functional cookies rather than optional cookies. And then you have certain websites that don't give you any option at all. And it is your choice to either leave that website or just deal with it. If the service or the product you're looking for means more than your data, then you might just just accept it.
Take the risk.
Yeah, exactly. It's a risk that you decide to take or not.
Right. That's interesting. Now this show is called #The African Dream, and I'd like to jump into certain questions that I receive from mostly African immigrants and also people in general over here that are interested in establishing businesses. I know you're into data privacy, but I also have realized that you've come into helping with explaining what establishing a business is all about. And so since we're here, we might as well milk it for what it's worth. So let's take, for instance, I'm some random guy who just came into the United States, stayed for a while. I now have my green card. and I want to establish a business. Two questions. Can I establish a business on a green card, or do I need to become a citizen?
You can absolutely establish a business on a green card. Those are not questions that they typically even ask you at all.
Right.
And if you are in doubt and you have an attorney in the U.S., the attorney can be your point of contact for those types of information. But if you are an entrepreneur and you just want to start a business, your first step is to register the business in a state. And that is where it becomes murky when you ask about being a citizen or not, because in some states, or actually all of them that I've worked with so far, you have to have that state address in order to register in that state, and what they call a principal address.
Okay.
So
in the case of principal address, just a newbie in the system, I don't have that much cash to acquire an office. Could I use my home address?
Absolutely. But you have to remember, if you use your home address on a business registration, that address is going to become public record. And so if somebody then looks up your business, that address is going to come up as the place of business.
Okay. So during the tax season, do I have any claims by virtue of the fact that I'm using my home also as my business address?
There are definitely some tax benefits, but I am not a tax attorney. And so I can speak about the legalization of businesses without getting too much into taxes.
Okay.
So businesses can be established many different ways. It could be as simple as a handshake, and we are partners in business. The problem with that is it's not on paper. So if something was to happen, everything is my word against his.
Right.
Then you have the next step, which is a sole proprietorship, which you don't really need a partner, but you just get up and you just do the business without actually registering it anywhere at all.
Is that the S corporation?
No,
Okay.
That is just a sole proprietorship.
Gotcha.
And that is okay, usually when it comes to tax purposes, and this is as far as I will get into taxes, is that you file as yourself with your social security number. Now, when you establish a business with a state, you're supposed to register for what we call an employer identification number, which is an EIN. And that is kind of like your social security for your business.
Right.
And so if you establish like an entity with a state, then you would file taxes with that EIN and not your social security, so that it sets you apart from the business. Exactly.
Right.
So then that takes us to our next business, which is everybody's favorite, which is the LLC. And what that means is that you have a limited liability company. That is one of the best company entities to have, because it sets you apart from the business. You are basically saying that anything that happens, they should go after the business and not you, because you're two separate people.
Right.
Now, it's good because I know a lot of people have the LLC, but you're supposed to keep certain documentation and certain legalities in place in order to sustain that LLC. So there's this legal phenomenon called piercing the corporate veil. And what that basically means is that if you don't keep your funds separate, so for instance, you have a business account and you have a business credit card, but you use that business account for personal purchases, or you use your personal account for business purchases, you are commingling your funds. And that, if like somebody was to sue you later on and you take that to court, the court is going to say, well, your business uses your funds so much and you use your business funds so much that we can tell that you and your business are actually separate. And so because of that, even though you registered as an LLC, we're going to put the liability against you. And that is something that you don't want at all. So I always advise my clients to keep everything separate. If you're going to use company money, use that for company affairs. Exactly. If you're going to use your personal, keep that separate. If at any point you want to use personal funds, you might have to go the route of actually getting into contract with your own business and loaning your business the money. You get what I'm saying? So that it is still in documented form and you are separating yourself from the business.
You mentioned business credit.
Yes.
Now, How different is that, and how does one acquire a business credit?
Absolutely. It's not that much different, except that when you think about business, not business, but your personal credit,
Right.
you have like the three major credit bureaus, right? So like TransUnion, Experian, and what is the other one? Equifax, exactly. So there is a board for businesses that do the exact same thing.
Okay.
I always advise my clients to always start building their business credit by obtaining a DUNS number.
What's
and
a
that's
DUNS number?
DUNS. A DUNS number is a number that is obtained from Duns and Bradstreet. It is free, kind of like how you obtain your EIN.
Right.
And what that does is it creates a paper trail of your business activities. So just like you would start your personal credit, where maybe you start out by paying like bills here and there, your cell phone bills and things like that. Once you start purchasing certain things for your business, it starts to create a paper trail. When you start to pay even business phone lines in the name of the business, it starts to create a paper trail. You want to do that because I think it was a wise man, I don't know who that is, but that wise man said that you never do business with your own money. And this is where business credit comes in, because most entrepreneurs go out of business within the first year because they don't have enough funds. When you are able to build business credit, you could get lines up to $25,000 even as a new entrepreneur, all the way up to $100,000 as an established business.
Right.
And that could help you with operations. And so you don't have to wait to save money in order to dump money into your business. You can then actually use your business credit card or your business credit funds and then pay back that money with the revenue you get from your actual business.
What are some of the basic things that anyone should look out for, at least to have knowledge of, before they jump into establishing a business?
That's a really, really good question, because I think that we're in a wave on entrepreneurship where people just get into business without being fully prepared.
Right.
Owning a business is much like being a leader of something. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs that lack leadership skills. I think that is an investment that you should make. On the legal side, I think it is very important to have your documentation in place. Make sure before you think about registering your business, you know what documents are required of you, or you hire a lawyer that can explain those things to you. I call these the rapid registrations, where people go online and then they see or they type in register a business, and then all these other companies come up and say, we'll register it for you in 30 seconds or 1 minute. What they do is they do register your business, but you don't get the documentation that comes with it. You need an operating agreement. If you're an LLC, you need an article of organization. You also want a document for your bylaws as well. These are things that they will not provide to you because those tend to be very specific to your business. So that is something that you should think about. Another thing that you should think about when you want to get into business is trademarking.
Okay.
You want to protect your idea, your business name, and your business idea. You don't want someone to be using your business name in a different state because you didn't trademark. I know trademarks are expensive, but when you think about the long term and growing your business, it's a very small investment to make.
Right. I know in the US, for instance, when you have a business in one state and you move to another state, the LLC laws sees your business in that other state as a foreign entity.
That's right.
Now, and you don't want to end up like having to be seen as dealing with two businesses because you're a small person who is starting out in the world of business and LLC. I'm assuming if you have a trademark, you can keep the one in the old state based on the trademark policy. Or if you don't, should you shut the one in the old state and hope that you can get the new one you're about to establish in the new state under that same name?
Okay, so that's actually a brilliant question, because a lot of people have misunderstandings when it comes to that. So let me explain that.
Right.
Your business entity registration is completely different from a trademark. When I show you a shoe with a black bottom, you don't know where that came from. You don't know where I bought that from.
Right.
If I show you a shoe with red bottoms, you immediately know where I got that from. That's the power of a trademark. And so trademarks, to your point and to your question, are national. Trademarks show customers a source of the good. It's the same reason if I was to show you a box that was red and had a big M on it, you would know that that's from McDonald's. That is what you want to do as a business owner. You want to get so accustomed to your customers that every time they see your product, whether it's your logo, whether it's your business name, they know that this is where it's coming from. So that actually has no bearing on the registration of the business, but it does protect your business name from being used by other people nationally. So other people won't be able to use that business name in a different state. Now, when it comes to the foreign entity versus where you register, that's a simple thing. That's not even something to really worry about. Obviously, you can register your business in multiple states, but that's not quite wise because you do have to pay your registration fees annually.
Right.
Like, for instance, in Virginia, and don't quote me on this because I know it does change, but it's about like $50 and up dollars, but in Maryland it's $320 or $350. So that could also affect the decision of where you want to register your business. When you register your business in a state, you are saying that this is the home state of that business, and that any laws arising out of any dealings with your business should follow the law of that state. That's what you are saying, and by that you then abide by that that state's laws or taxes or any other regulation that affects your business. That by no means means that you cannot register your business in, like, say, Virginia or Delaware and do business out of somewhere else. People do that all the time. I think big corporations are all like registered in Delaware, and they have their main principal places of business in different other states. So that actually has no bearing.
I know that I need to have separation from myself and my business.
That's right.
I need to understand the laws, especially of the states that I'm registering my business. And above all, I need to keep a paper trail.
That's right.
I need to understand what an LLC is, and I need to get a DUNS number, which helps me build business credit. What else do I need?
You need business insurance. That's a big one.
Okay.
General liability insurance is okay, and if you have a more specialized type of business, you might want to look into a more curated plan for your business. But business insurance is always important because you just never know what is going to happen. So business insurance. And then most importantly, we started out talking about data privacy.
Right.
So privacy policies, especially if you have a website, whether it's informational or e-commerce, you need a data privacy policy on that website. What that is going to include is, again, I talked about data collection. When people come on your website and they want to contact you, you may even have a contact me form on the website. You're collecting their first name, last name, email address, and any other information that you're collecting that they're willing to give.
Right.
Your privacy policy is going to tell them the information that you collect, how you're collecting it, what you are using it for, and how you're protecting it. This is actually required by law.
Hello, folks. Once again, this is Oral Ofori, host and producer of your favorite human interest chat show, #The African Dream. And we've been having a conversation with lawyer Solace Awumee, and she's been telling us a little bit about establishing an LLC or a business here in the United States, and data protection.
Yes.
And she's going to tell us how you can find her website. It's on the screen, but she's going to tell you more about that.
Absolutely. My website is www.noparei.com. That is NOPAREI.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Noparei, NOPAREI. And I have some goodies that I have available right now. For those of you that have businesses and have websites, but you can't afford an attorney right now, which, by the way, it's a very small investment. for a business that you want to see grow. But should you not have the funds right now to hire an attorney, I do have a business package on the website, and it gives you a template of an operating agreement, a template of privacy policy, and also a template of terms and conditions. If you don't have those documents, you should probably look on the website and purchase those. I also have, if you're interested in data privacy, which is very, very important right now because the government is actually cracking down on non-compliance. I have a data privacy ebook. If you don't know the type of data you're collecting or know what you're doing with the data that you have, you might want to get that book as well. It's an ebook for business owners that will teach you. It's very interactive. It will teach you where to find the information, what questions you should be answering. And I also have a business checklist. If you're thinking about starting your business but you haven't quite started it yet, the checklist is free.
Okay.
It is free on the website. Go on there and grab a copy because it will talk about the DUNS number, business insurance, and kind of give you a checklist of what you should be looking at. And even if you have a business already, you can use the same checklist to see where you're at. Check your business health. Do I have the DUNS number? Do I not? Do I have contracts in place? And that will give you a good idea of where you are as a business owner.
Thank you for sharing. So, lawyer, let's say I'm a business owner here in the U.S.
Okay.
And I found a potential partner that I want to go into contract with. What do I need to do?
So,
and do they need to be in the U.S.? This person outside of the U.S.
Okay, good. I was going to ask you if they were also in the U.S. or foreigner. So let me start with two business partners in the U.S. and then we can go into contracts with foreigners and
sounds good.
Residents of the U.S. If you find a business partner here, it's kind of very similar. There are many options of contracts that you can look into. There are always partnership contracts. There are also joint venture contracts, which is where two companies are coming together to pursue another venture for the benefit of both companies. If you are doing partnerships, you are saying that you are sharing profits and losses equally. And so these are a few options for contracts, and you can absolutely go into business with someone that is not in the U.S. Contract law will cover you. It just depends on what type of contract it is. So again, if it's a joint venture, you can definitely go into business with somebody that is a foreign business while you are a business here. We just have to get that into writing. That also takes negotiation process. You want an attorney to sit with you both and make sure that everybody's interests are represented. You will not believe how many people I have sit down with me and consult with me, and they think they know what they're doing. Right. So you start asking, okay, so what do you want out of this business? And then the business partners start to see that they didn't quite have the same alignment when it came to the business expectations. So I always make this analogy that going into business with someone is kind of like marriage. It's a difficult conversation to have because you don't want to think about all the bad things that could happen, but it is better safe than sorry to have those conversations now, right? So what happens if something goes wrong? What happens when someone sues us? Do we share that cost as a partnership, or do we create an LLC that takes the cost of that suit? Those are all conversations that you want to have. How do we share the profits? Because I think the profit conversation is more lighthearted and more fun for people to talk about. And then the loss conversation is more, So those are all conversations that needs to be had, and that takes place usually during negotiations.
Cool. So for me to go into contracts, let's say with either a US-based individual or a foreigner or someone based outside of the US, contract, of course, are important, and you recommend that we have legal advice and representation, so we don't hurt ourselves in ways that we're not even aware of. So that's good information.
And I will add, though, that another part of the reason a lawyer is so important with those deals is because that lawyer is going to do extra research to make sure that that business that the person says they have in a foreign country is viable. Exactly, right. That it actually exists. Especially if you just maybe found each other online, you know, in this day and age, you know, you can always connect with people very easily.
Right.
You've never been to that country, you don't know how to verify certain information. That would be a very important place for the lawyer to do that research. And that is also your duty to make sure that the business partner that you want to go to business with has a viable business, has an existing business.
Before we leave you, tell us, what are some of the things that we should be looking into? I mean, like you said, everyone is looking at the rosy aspect of, you know, either starting a business on their own or entering into partnership with someone, whether local or foreign, to start a business. But of course, roses have thorns.
That's true.
Tell us about some of the thorns.
One quick and easy one that I have experienced a lot this year is people not reading their contracts. Everyone has a duty to read. And by contracts, I'm not just talking about the physical contracts that say contract, but also when you perform certain activities on other people's websites, when you purchase things from people, or you patronize certain services.
Those things are alone. We just want to get stuff and go.
Everyone has a duty to read, unfortunately. And I've had a lot of that. When in doubt, you can always, I do contract reviews as one of my services.
Right.
You can always pick up a contract, have an attorney read over it. And that might be cheaper than actually retaining an attorney. What they will do is they'll read over your contracts. They will educate you on it, tell you any red lines that you should probably be taking a look at, anything that makes their spidey senses go high. And then you have the ability or the capability to make the decision to either go into that contract, have it negotiated, amended, or just walk away from that contract. That will be up to you. But I think contract review is a very important stage before you sign any type of contract.
And you heard Lawyer Awumee just say contract review is a very important step to take before you sign any sort of contract.
That's right.
Read the fine print.
Yes.
And if you don't have the time, get an attorney to help you with that, so they advise you on exactly what to do. But when you start, it's not always going to be rosy, but then just keep it pushing.
That's
Any final words?
Just be mindful of the information that you do provide online. If you can provide the least amount of information to get whatever it is that you want, whether it's a service or a product, do so. Your information is valuable.
And on that note, we end yet another special edition of Hashtag The African Dream. This is Oral Ofori, host and producer, and we had for our very special guest, Lawyer Awumee.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Check out her website, and she's got a lot of amazing services. Take advantage of them, especially the freebie ones. And please, when you can pay, because good service are not cheap.
That's right.